So, welcome to another episode of Swayambhu Stories. This is bringing you stories as is of people who are brilliant in the way they are, what they are doing, who they are, the vision that they carry, the aspects of change that they've brought up and they plan to bring about to the rest of the world. Prasad, more than all the other roles and interesting aspects that he is, I will officially read of his. Prasad is a very close friend of mine, somebody who I very, very strongly look up to for his ideals, his way of work, his work ethic. He has been a friend and continues to be a friend, and his passion towards sustainability was the first connection for both of us. And after that, it's been a fun and interesting conversation with him whenever we meet. He is an entrepreneur. He's an IMB alumni. He's written two books. He's worked in the automotive sector, worked in the e-commerce space, marketing, management, startup. Quite a lot of the ecosystems that he's worked with, very strongly spiritually inclined. Does not do sustainability for the sake of doing it, right? So that was the first catch that for first space where me and Prasad got connected. And welcome, Prasad, to the conversation today. And it's always
Thank you so
lovely
much.
to have you.
Thank you. I think it's good to share my story of it. And if somewhere somebody gets inspired about doing about sustainability, I'm really happy about it. So thank you first of all for having me also on this.
Yes. So now I think for me, my first conversation with you was with, Rewind, right? After Rewind had been established, we met in the Startup Ignition group from Manoj Kabre and LK and all those. And the aspect was we were from the same previous organization, so we had the same sort of history. But the aspect of Rewind was something that I really, really liked. Would you like to share a little bit about Rewind for our viewers and listeners for the first place?
So rewind is a word that has been combined from two separate words. One is green and rewind. So I said rewind back to a greener planet. So that's how this word came up to. We started in about say 2022. Uh, we worked until July, August of 2025, close to about 3+ years of operations we have. And we decided to close it down for own reasons of both personal as well as external factors. But I think the journey of Gurvan has been such an amazing because there have been multiple times we've been pivoted. We've done B2C as an e-commerce, we've done B2B within Gurvine, and we've tried to understand from both an individual's perspective as well as from a corporate's perspective of what sustainability really means to them. And and after also all considerations of this, I really feel that India needs another clearly 5-6 years of time where this can really take shape into someone's heart and operations of companies.
No, I think that is true in terms of taking time for sustainability to not be just a buzzword, but something that is operational, something that's part of the DNA of an organization. So that's something that I have personally also felt while I was in different, spaces of the organizations. But you said your startup Rewind is now no longer in operation. And I saw one of your LinkedIn posts that once you're no longer working on the startup, you don't consider it as a failure. And that's not the equation there is. And I think that was a very strong resonance to that because of so many things that a startup takes you into. Uh, just again, a little bit of nudge on saying what
Yeah, I think
is
many people, I mean, it happened a couple of weeks back when I was talking to one of my old mentor, or known person. Said, I'm sorry your startup failed. I mean, I paused, I said, sorry, my startup didn't fail. I chose not to continue. And there's a huge difference between a failure and not making your own decision to not continue with it. Because I think being an entrepreneur has a different set of skills, different set of perseverance levels, and all those that is required for an individual. And not just as an individual, a different set of support system at the back end is also required. And sometimes circumstances are uh, different for different people, and you don't have to kind of put a same equation for everyone. So I chose not to continue for those particular reasons, not because that I failed. I mean, in 3 years of time, we turned profitable. We were scaling more than about 200% of growth. We got some big customers like airports and one of the big automotive companies and so many other about 30 plus real big corporates. So I wouldn't definitely call this as a failure. I just chose not to continue in this. And I think people need to change that phrase that 80% of startups fail in the first 5 years. No, 80% of startups close down in the first 5 years. There's a difference between those two because there might be some of them which are failed and some of them who chose not to continue, like mine. So that's the message that I wanted to give out to people that don't think startups close only because they fail. And there's more beyond it. And someone who's not walked that path will be difficult for them to understand.
There's a very big difference in terms of, closing down, choosing not to go ahead with it, or starting off, closing, pivoting. So, what is the difference between pivoting and, shutting shop? The lack of a better word.
Okay. So pivoting means you still have energy, you still want to do something, and you try to move towards. You still have that energy, you still have that support system, you still have that drive to go on. You can be beyond that also. Yeah. So you want to change the way you're currently operating and see if something else works. Yeah. So you then pivot your business model, you pivot yourself. But closing down is completely saying, sorry, I'm drained out, or I don't have the energy, I don't have the backup system, or I'm looking for something else. So that's when you say that, no, I don't want to go further from there. So I think that's the difference between when you pivot and when you choose to close down.
I think that then I knew the answer for this one, but I wanted to ask it for the aspect of an audience, right? So, uh, this happened with me as well. So, for somebody who's working in the IT, in the automotive, suddenly I had to move into this one, and there were questions asked. And now when I pivot and say, I'm moving to something else, I may no longer be doing certain things. Saying the question is, are you closing down on something? Versus, so why did this is a failure. It somehow says if you're going to get into startups, you better make sure that your startup works. Because otherwise, don't come home. It's like you run away from house. Make sure you become a billionaire. Otherwise, don't even look back at coming. It doesn't work like that.
Actually, there are in fact great companies like I mean, even Bosch. Robert Bosch, when in his earlier days, what did everything. And also, he never wanted to start a company in automotive or this. It happened by choice. Yeah. So, by chance, sorry. So, when people like that have such great stories, I mean, it's just one of the stories I'm narrating. So, every story is pivoting you towards a certain goal, I feel. And the goal is fixed on this. It's just that the journey towards it gets you pivoted in different directions and finally towards the goal of it. Yeah. Can be
Mhm.
your personal goal of what you want to achieve for yourself. And the pivots are just the different ways of directions where you're reaching towards it. So I think someone who I can again keep saying that someone who's not walked the path will never understand because it's very generic. Trust me, when I was working as a corporate employee, I was also a part of a few startup that I was trying to mentor and help them with some strategies and things. And today, when I'm on the other side of the table, when I'm a startup by myself, I see that the thought process then as a mentor who had no startup experience was different versus a one who has both startup experience as well as kind of a mentorship. So now you kind of understand the challenges of a founder, person who's trying to create something new out of. out of nothing. So it takes a lot of energy and takes a different direction, different resources. Yeah, especially in resources and all those. We take certain things very lighter even in corporate versus when you're in a startup world. So
Sure. And this thing, I think, Prasad, the aspect of courage, where do you see that in terms of running a startup versus, being in a corporate environment?
there are two courages. One is your internal courage, one is your back end, the support that you get from your families, friends, and others. So one is the first step is of you taking that, yes, I am capable and I want to do this. So you got to kind of question yourself, and that's the script that I'm trying to write for the third book, where I'm trying to say that there is a challenge. How does a corporate employee or an employee with that mindset think versus a mindset who is entrepreneurial? How do they see the same set of challenges or the same set of situation, two different things? Yeah. So if an employee or doesn't have that kind of a thought process, one, they need to build it. Yeah. Or two, if they say that it's not my cup of tea, it's better not to kind of venture into it. That's one. So the second thing is your back end courage or the courage that your families can give you for that period of time. Literally, it's about 5, 6 years of time. You need literally any startup it could be, and that much amount of perseverance, and you got to get that courage from them because ultimately you're going to come back and then have a you are with your family, and the family needs to give you that support. So otherwise, just the internal courage, I mean, both ways. Just having internal courage doesn't help, and just having the back end support also doesn't help. So you need to have both the courages with.
Mm-hmm. Prasad, that's a beautiful space because bringing in the family question and their silent space saying we are here with you is a whole new space, a whole new bargain altogether. Now I want to accelerate towards this, right? So if I am a HR looking to hear you back, and I ask you this question saying, Prasad, tell me your story, right? So, however long you want to do it, however short you want to do it, as to why I would, as an organization, have you as an advantage when you come back to us, come to us.
Uh, One is there is a corporate structure that you understand. There's a lot of bureaucracy. There's a lot of things built into it. I'm not saying that in a negative sense, but a corporate of such big structure needs them. And at the same time, the markets are so dynamic today that you also need an entrepreneurial mind for in your employees, and that's why many of the corporates invest in their employees in developing a in an entrepreneurial mindset. There are called as corporate entrepreneurship, and so in fact, in one of my classes at IMB, there was a subject called as corporate entrepreneurship. So they are trying to build such a mindset within the employees. Yeah. So I'm saying that there are people out there when 80% of them closed down in the first 5 years. 80% of the founders are available out there in the market for corporates to absorb them into their companies. And it doesn't need to be the same product experience or the same industry experience because the minds and the mindsets is what they will be valued at. And how do you tackle those situations? How do you address those problems? How do you kind of bring a solution? Because at the end of it, an entrepreneur always is trying to find a solution to all the problems that we find. I mean, it could be n number of problems, as small as what color do we put for this poster, to what decision or strategy do we make for this. Yeah. So our, our decisions are ranging from small to big. So we know the entire spectrum of it. And I think that's what the corporates can take leverage of such mindsets from these people. So there are so many entrepreneurs out there, and I saw somewhere about 40% of them, once they close down their startups, they want to go back to corporates, and 40% of them are another about 30-40% of them do the second startup. And I think the 40% are out there in the corporate who wants to kind of absorb them and take the benefits out of them. And their hunger, there's always a huge hunger in them. And I think that hunger versus the minds, no, I think that's something the corporates can really make leverage on.
Oh yeah, I think I would love to have somebody who's worked in the entrepreneurship space, because you bring in the, become an intrapreneur or the whatever that they call it, internal entrepreneur. Because you come with that experience of, with your case, you've already worked in a corporate, you know the structure quite
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Then you moved into an equation where, the rules are now slightly different. If not, there are still rules, but the rules are different. You worked in that space, understood that, like you said, right from the color to the logo to the design to product, design placement, structure, fire, things that are burning, things that are need to be looked, people, processes, politics, geopolitical understanding.
yeah.
You name it, you have to go through it. You have churned it.
Egos as well.
Egos, yeah. So
I
you
mean,
have to.
I've literally lifted weights of products in my shoulders and taken to a customer. And I've sat in the outdoors and done every kind of jobs. So we never kind of think, oh, this is not for me, or we keep that everything aside, and the main purpose of the goal is what has mattered. So I think that experience only can teach you, not the cubicles.
Mhm. And I think also, if I have to like read into what you are also additionally saying, is that there are egos, there are changing spaces, and maybe also there is especially in terms of closing down a startup. It's your baby that you've sort of, worked with, created, essentially held on to. And to make a call to say, okay, I'll go back into something that used to work for me, and I am letting go of something that is not working for me. That's not as easy as it sounds, right? It's not a space where, like, okay, today you decide, tomorrow, tata bye bye to startup. It's not happen like that.
No, yes, it's a I think 6-7 months of decision that you take, uh, whether you want to further pivot or you want to further close down. I think that's when all those frameworks that I spoke to you about, you literally sit, understand, like again, as an individual with your family. You need to do both. Uh, and once you do that exercise both as an individual and with the family, then you have a very clear decision and a direction as to what next what you need to.
Mm. So, if I make the statement that you are wiser after the startup, getting back into the fold, is that a right statement to make?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've been telling many people in the corporate, my friends and all, I say that no, I'm sure. Uh, I still advise people that you have to try entrepreneurship once in your life because it gives you a different set of mindset. It tells you who you are. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? It's not like your SWOT. No, it's not like what you say in your interview that this is my strength, this is my weakness. Going on to ChatGPT saying that these are my things. Can you give me a draft? No, it literally teaches you. The experience teaches you as to what you are and how do you handle situations and what are you good at. So absolutely, I mean, if there's someone as young who's watching this, I would definitely advise them start this early, experience this, and it might take you. I mean, I've closed on, but there are things that you might go to a different level, next level. Yeah. So I'm sure it has to be kind of brought into the curriculums of the uh, engineering and other degrees as well as to one or two experience. I mean, management schools. I mean, instead of internships, I'm sure they should start saying that whenever when there is a 2 year course, start something in the early year, start building something, and then say that after 2 years, where you are, you want to pivot from there or you want to go back to corporate. But that experience of 2 years is invaluable. So
Yeah. And that nothing like on the field this thing, right? So, you have to ask somebody who's gone to war rather than somebody who's written about going to war. There's a difference. in that, in terms of, the actual aspect of working there and figuring it out. And so even stakeholder management is something you would have improved. You know how to do, what works, how to present your 30-second pitches. So you are a leaner machine when you get back into either your next startup, or get back to what works for you, getting into corporate, getting into consulting. Um, can you go back and share what made you start the startup in the first place? I'm going a little back, a little in time. How Rewind happened and how you made the decision to come back in. So take your time.
So this was probably my third kind of experiment, I would say, because I was trying to experiment something way back in 2012 and 2016. So all different kind of companies. But after that, in 2020, when I started a small blog called as SNP Shares. And the blog was talking only about innovations on how it can help the planet. And wonderful researches were happening across the world. So I was just reading them and trying to put them into a small blog of my own. And I started realizing that these are wonderful innovations, wonderful products. Uh, and as long as these products don't reach the end consumer's hands, they'll be nice to read and talk about it. Yeah. And the real purpose of making an impact onto the planet will not happen. And that's when I realized that there is an opportunity for me to bring these kind of and these S&P shares, I think, was pretty much appreciated by at least the known closed networks and all. I was sharing all these kind of innovations and talks. So I kind of saw that there is a good, I mean, one, the purpose is great. Two, are there products? There were products available at that point of time also. So I said, see, sustainability is not just one product. Yeah, when a company says that they're doing sustainability, it's not that you're selling just one product and you're done with it. It's the way how you're going to change your lifestyle towards, right? Every aspect of how we live it needs to change. So that's when I said that it can't be one product. It needs to be an aggregation of all the products that we use in a day-to-day lifestyle to change towards sustainable products. And that's where we slowly started understanding and identifying products. And uh, we had about four categories: plastic, paper, textile, and sanitary. So all these kind of products, what are the alternate sustainable products available in the market? Started listing them on. Then we started going out to the vendors, discussing with them, trying to get them onto our platform. And then that's how we built the platform of Grivind, which is for the e-commerce B2C. But then I thought after about a year and a half, I saw that there was only good talk that happens on products because there are a lot of good reels, there are a lot of good influencers today, which talks about these products. And I get these products reels from various WhatsApp groups in which I am. But that's it. I mean, that is not the requirement of the company. The main requirement is that you need to start buying those products. Yeah. And I saw that this is the biggest thing that is missing out here. But I was also getting restless that the companies needs to start growing. We need to start leveraging more onto the revenues aspect also. So we said, okay, let's try the B2B because, but not kill the B2C uh, segment. Let's continue to keep it alive. The e-commerce model will be still there, but we're not going to invest too much into the marketing, or we're not going to invest too much into it. But whatever we're going to raise as sales from the B2B segment, we'll invest a little bit into the e-commerce. So that is because of the awareness. That's because of you need the education part to it. And that's when I will tell you the last part, which is the authoring of the book. So in B2B, we said that, oh wow, companies are talking about ESG reports, all those things. So it'll be a great target for us to kind of reach out to the corporates. And we started reaching out to corporates and schools and all. So that was a different observation that I had, that in corporates and things, I'm not going to generalize this for all, but at least the ones that met and had a word with, They were all asking for sustainable products for their dealers meet or the distributors conference or some kind of an event or during Deepavali or during the annual event. So because it was becoming like a corporate gifting company, yeah, and uh, and this was not aligned with the reason why I started. So I said sustainability is not corporate gifting. Yeah, it is not because you want to show it to your customers. It's not just because you want to show it to someone that you're doing this. Because it's not just that once I got an entry through corporate gifting, we're trying to build the products that they use for the day-to-day operations. And that was not happening. It was only happening during those events. So I said, this is not why we wanted to really build Grivind as a corporate gifting company. No, that's because there's hardly anything as an impact that you could do. And if not me, there's always somebody else because that's only one set of product or two set of products that's required for the annual event. But after that, so the concept of aggregation or the concept of the entire gamut of products to be built for them to start using was also kind of not getting there. Or probably I was also a little patient, not having enough patience about it. So that's all the reasons I kind of said that B2B is also in a different area today, and also not getting the enough support from the regulators. Because ultimately, if you see sustainability, there are three people that is important. One, individuals. Two, corporates. Three, regulators. So the corporates who's defining, which is the regulators who are defining all the policies and things like that. So, and there is a big disconnect between all these things. So until unless there is a connection that can be built, uh, a person as passionate as me towards this subject uh, will just be banging my head against the rock. So, and this is not one person like me who can do this. You need uh, you need an entire army of people, of like-minded people, to come together and fight it out with the respective segments that I spoke about. So, one person putting up a poster will really not, or one person doing things will really not change the way. It needs to continuously be banging on someone's head day in, day out. And that's when I think slow changes will really happen.
No, I agree in terms of the warfront footing that you need to go on a sustainability space. You become a corporate sustainability gifting partner. That's not cutting it. It's almost as if saying, all our Hindu festivals are about food. Right? It is a symbolic representation, but that's not possibly the beginning of it, not the entirety of it all. And I think, yeah, I also wanted to check on this one term before I get into your books. Why sustainability? And second, because I've also dealt with that sustainability warrior burnout. So, two things I wanted to ask. Why sustainability in the first place? What drew you to that? As a startup, there are thousands of ideas, a lot of money making ideas. But why with the cause? And
Uh,
there, that burnout space. Both, you can answer however you want to.
no, I think it's just that the education part played a big role. The moment during COVID, I started reading about things, what's happening, what's the impact of our lifestyles, and the education part played a big impact to me. And there's something which is wrong at the way we are living. Uh, and we might say we love our kids, we love our this. But ultimately, if you're not doing anything for them in terms of leaving a better planet to them, it's just talk. And recently, there was an event incident of Elon Musk talking about transgenders on Netflix, so cancel Netflix and all that because it is spoiling our kids' minds. So that's and there was millions of subscribers who were canceling because somewhere they're showing casing that we love our kids by canceling of Netflix. We love our kids by giving back a planet which they deserve. And if we are not doing that, no matter how much love we do just for our kids, it doesn't help. So that was one subject which was very close to me. And And earlier also, it was not just about education. I've been practicing somehow without knowing that this means sustainability. Yeah. So it kind of, and the education added to it, making me understand that this is a big area that needs right-minded people at the right point of time. And also for me personally, the closure of a company doesn't mean that the closure of my mission. Yeah? As a person who's sustainable, you're not going to say that, okay, from tomorrow on, I'm going to be unsustainable. I mean, it's built into you. Yeah. And you're going to continue the chain. I'm just not going to make money out of it. Yeah. But the passion of the work, whenever I get time, that will continue, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to stay on into this subject. And in terms of burnout, that you are sustainable burnout, yes and no, because yes, in terms of sales is not happening, or what do I do, and all that. Let's start questioning about the business point of view because the money was not coming. So you're equating money to the sustainable things. But the moment I now took out the money equation from it, and I said that no, money is the business is closed, so I'm not going to be thinking anything about the money part. The purpose is when you're going to concentrate upon, and that is never going to happen with one person and one day. It's going to be years and years of efforts with millions of people joining hands. And that's when you can create this equation together.
Hmm. And I remember this conversation with you, I think, quite some time back. We don't need perfect sustainability, guys. We need imperfect sustainability, guys. As much, as many as we possible who may not be doing everything right, but they have at least now started to do something right. The scale
Absolutely.
bit is what changes in terms of, the mindset, the customer space. And then everything also, has its own timeline. So even cancel Netflix has its possible own timeline to make it work and how it works as well. And tell me about your two books. What was, one of us was SOS sustainability, or instead of sustainability, it was SOS sustainability.
Yeah, yeah. So one was sustainability. So we write the word sustainability with SUS, sustainability, right? So I said that no, this is also SOS because we use SOS when there's an emergency. And I'm trying to tell people that this is an emergency. Please, we need to understand what the emergency is. And this, the first step of why I took up something because I started getting myself educated about it. Yeah, so this is the attempt that I'm trying to make to educate people. Because you're not going to sit and read thousands of articles, or you're not going to sit and do a lot of research about it. Because one, someone who's as passionate about a particular subject only will be able to do that much amount of research and go into different areas. In today's areas of content distraction or information distraction, you have one moment on the reel, you have something about sustainability. The next reel would be something on dance, something on music, something on this. There's a lot of information. Yeah, you need to focus upon one particular thing and you need to get all information in one particular area. And that's the reason that I thought that let me start with creating an education, creating an awareness with people through the accumulation of all these informations and not just information. What you need to do with these informations, because the next part is your action. Once you have information, once you have a desire to do something, you need to do action about it. So, what actions are required or missing in today's lifestyle, and what you as individuals can do is something that I've tried to bring in this book, and that was sustainability. The last call for change. The earlier to this book was a heads up for your startup. So embrace the uncertainty. So this is like just telling to all the people who want to be entrepreneurs or who are already in the first stage of entrepreneurs, there is a journey an entrepreneur goes through. There is excitement, there is a neglect that we face, there's a lot of tiring, there's a lot of risks that we take, there's a lot of education. So there's a lot of things that we go through as a journey when we are in entrepreneurship. So what are these journeys, and when they come, how do we probably manage ourselves? And that's I mean, it could be differing from person to person, But in which box or in which category do you fall? And what is that I think can be handled in this kind of situation is something that I tried to bring about in it. So these were the first two books of mine. And the third one is coming up, which is Startup or Corporate, Where Do You Belong?
Where do you belong, Prasad?
Uh, I think I realize I'm in the mode of corporate.
And in a way that this is another aspect of you personally sharing your experience, that it is not a black and white, that you are either a corporate guy or a startup guy, and you can switch between these places based on what is the current situation, what is uh, taking you there, where you see your heart, sometimes heart, hand, mind, all that becomes factors of influence, and saying my experience in whatever I was or whatever that is makes a change and makes a point. All right, so that is something I
It's a
am seeing.
percentage, I would say. See, it's not like you said, it's not one and zero.
Mm.
It is like 70%, 30%, 60%, 40%, or it's sometimes even 51%, 49%. Yeah.
Yes,
So you have all these things, and I think one needs to only introspect as an individual and understand where do they belong.
mm.
And also the circumstance at which they are in currently. Yeah, probably a retired person can say, "There's no more corporate. I would like to try something out of now for me." A young who's just coming out of college can just try to say that I want to try entrepreneurship and see if I can then get a job. So there are different
Yeah.
situations for different people and different circumstances, the different back end support. I keep talking about this because without this, if it's a straight advice, if you do not have the support of the family, don't venture in
Mm.
because no matter how much amount of uh, belief and this that we have, ultimately you need the family support for the next 5 6 years, and that shouldn't impact the minds and the mental strength of the individual. So therefore, getting their support, your internal support is also as important. So all these things factors play a different role. So it's never a one and zero kind of a thing. It's situation based, it's individual based. Yeah. So and what passion are you about? What are you very passionate about? What kind of brings a lot of energy? What subject brings a lot of energy into you? They're very, very different things, and ultimately, definitely anybody who's inclined towards it can always uh, experiment and try this out and
Yeah.
succeed.
I think that aspect of percentage, support, anchoring, so a lot of that is important in a podcast. So Prasad, what I'm realizing basically is that a 45 minutes or a 1 hour conversation with you is not enough to absorb all that there is. Which typically could also be a case wherein, I think I shared it with you or shared it with somebody else. I got your CV and I said, no, I think the CV cannot make the actual representation of what you are and what your experiences has been. So that's what I'm realizing, that in an hour it's too small to really absorb what your experiences have been. So maybe two questions to close this particular conversation. You explained about the superheroes, the Superman project. That's also how you've interviewed people, and that. So tell us about who you met, what was the inspirational stories you had, and then I'll come back to my final question.
So, yeah, thanks. I think that was a wonderful experience that I had. Once I was back home, Saturdays and Sundays, I had an kind of thing that I want to speak with more people and try to understand their thought process, their decisions. And that's when I started this small podcast or something that you could call at that point of time, which is interviewing, just talking to people, just like me and you having a nice conversation. It was about in 2017, 18, it could be. I started a small thing called a superhuman series. And about 10, 11 people I spoke at that point of time. So they were all extraordinary people who've done some excellent work. Someone like Ramgir Tanwar, who's now right now a Podman of India, and Narendra Modi also has spoken about his work and so how these people have gone through their decisions. What kind of decisions did they make to come and make sure that they're working towards a particular cause? So that was very challenging. Then I met Mr. Ganesh Rak, who delivers girl child in Pune and at a free of cost. Every girl child who's born in his hospital is done the delivery at free of cost. And why? Why did these thoughts come to their minds that I have to do something like this? And why are they continuing to do it relentlessly even today? Yeah. So if you speak to these people, Mr. Yogi, who was a bus conductor, huh? He's donated about 5 lakh samplings. That was about 2018-19 when I spoke with him. At that point of time, 5 lakh. I don't know now what the number could be. So he's donated about 5 lakh samplings as a bus conductor. Yeah, why do these people go out of their extra or out of their ordinary and do something such extraordinary works? It's something really unimaginable at that point of time. And that's when I wanted to speak with them, take inspiration stories, what the decision processes were there for them, and ultimately from them derive those inspirations from it. And I think this is something I want to continue. And I'm sure in today's world where getting a contact person on LinkedIn or trying to connect is more easier. Everyone should do this, irrespective of whom they see. Take 20, 30 minutes of someone's time. And I'm sure people will give you that time when you're honest with the purpose of why you want to speak to them. And you can just take inspiration from everyone's stories because everyone has a story which is inspirational, which is wonderful. And I'm sure everyone will be able to give their point of view of stories. And we can become much better individuals, which is going to result into their own works.
Oh. Yeah, I think listening to it, and then also, just maybe sitting down with them is a different experience. But even listening to you sharing, you ask that question, so why do people make out of their usual space of running life? How do they make decisions and why do they make decisions? What causes them to, give saplings, deliver the girl child for free,
Yeah.
work on some of the passion projects? We call it a passion project, or it's a name called passion project. For them, it is a lived experience. And I'm realizing that, in terms of you being somebody who's a visionary, you are somebody who's passionate, you're, somebody who cares about the environment. You've done your aspect of, working in terms of the startup, working in terms of the ecosystem of a corporate, and now getting back into it, consulting, mentoring, project management. I still feel there's a lot I haven't touched about, which I will ask you as the ultimate question for today. Beyond all that you've spoken, if I had to ask you who you are, what would you answer to that?
Someone who's still discovering.
Wow. So you need you are in discovery of yourself.
Yeah. And the first step of you wanting to discover itself is a big milestone, I think. And then trying to understand and go where you want to be and try to keep discovering yourself. I think that's everyone's step should be. Otherwise, the day-to-day lifestyle keeps you so occupied that we sometimes forget what our purpose and what we need to really achieve.
Wow. So you are in discovery. And what do you want to discover?
It's a very difficult question. I mean, can't really have a defined answer to it.
I know,
What
I know.
do I want to discover? Uh, Spiritually, what is it? Discover the world. Why is things working out certain ways? See, certain things works beyond your controls. Sometimes even trying to understand that itself is a big beyond our even capabilities to understand. Yeah. So trying to get more and more knowledgeable as much as possible I think that is itself is a thing. So it's a difficult question to answer. What do I want to discover? Every
Uh,
area is affected.
yeah, so discovery is usually what happens as is, right? So you don't set out to discover something; it happens, and then life takes its own sweet course of action. So
So
Prasad,
Columbus didn't start to discover India. I mean, so the sailors they set out to discover something, but didn't go to discover that I want to discover this particular land. So you just go onto the sea, and there's lots of things which are available. You start discovering themselves by yourself itself. So
no, true that, true. You don't set out to discover, you figure out what comes to you. There's a friend of mine who says whatever comes is called Deva Prasad. So just take it as is. It becomes that sweet nectar of faith. It is all that. So your name is also Prasad. So whatever you discover is all that. So your 45 minutes have just gone by. Just trying to realize that this has been a short of it's a conversation that's a trailer possibly to a larger conversation, a deeper conversation. So many aspects to sort of think about. So I am requesting you to be back for further episodes. But for today, thank you for your time and sharing your experiences, sharing your thoughts honestly. And yeah, thank you again.
yeah, thanks so much, Sunil. Thank you so much for starting this kind of a series and having me in this. So I think it's wonderful that you are giving your audience an opportunity to hear out stories like ours, and there can be one person from your audience who will be part of your Swayambhu series because someone in this particular series had inspired them and they set out on their discovery journeys. I think it's a great thing that you have started. So thank you for having me on this.
Most welcome. Thank you.